We've all heard it. We hear it over and over and over again. Get woke, go broke, diversity doesn't sell. The DC Pride 2023 issue #1 sells out and gets a rush reprint. Cisgender or cis is not a slur. Now here comes the fun part. The part where a bunch of people go in the comments and tell me I'm wrong regardless of the information that I provide in this video. Let's start with the basics. If this is a slur, then so is this. But this is not a slur, therefore this is not a slur. Pretty simple, right? The next thing is, well, if you respected us, you wouldn't call us cis because you wouldn't want us to do the same thing to you. This is a fallacy argument because you've already been doing that. You've been misgendering and saying slurs to people in the queer community already for years and years and years. So you don't get to reverse that and all of a sudden act like you care about those things. Here's more proof. Pause if you need to. And lastly, if trans exist, then what is the opposite of trans? I'll give you a moment. I know you guys can't see the rest of this comment, but at the very end of this, they're like, if you don't like something, don't watch. While this person came on my video to explain free speech to me, as if what I am doing is not expressing free speech. And then they also have the option to not watch. This is why progress can't be made, because we are dealing with idiots. I had a couple of comments I highlighted here. There's two of these. We'll address these here back to back. Representation is not as important as the quality of the story, which was one of his statements. And I care about diversity if it's a good story. I actually get more offended when they use it as tokenism, just checking the diversity box. So I want to address both of these things. And this is no offense. I'm not attacking anybody here. But I always hear this when it comes to representation. There seems to be this goalpost for quality that only applies to representation, right? So like if a story that doesn't have diversity isn't good, it's never attacked for that reason. Like they never say, oh, that straight guy in that show, awful because they didn't tell a good story, right? They never attack him for that reason. But the minute you say that diversity is something that you want to see, they're like, oh, but it has to be a good story. So why is that the metric for diverse content? We have to let diversity be told, whether it's good or bad, and then decide if you like it or you don't like it. Don't hold it to a standard that is unfair. There's a lot of movies and TV shows that come out that are not diverse, that are just universally disliked for the most part. So I think we need to get that out of our head, first of all, when it comes to diversity, because representation, there's absolutely nothing with trying representation and it not working. It doesn't work sometimes. Sometimes it doesn't, right? I'll be the first one to say if something feels weird to me. But I think that we need to not hold representation to a higher standard than just a regular piece of media, because I think that's an unfair expectation for marginalized communities. And we do that a lot. And again, this is not me singling out you guys saying that this is what you're saying. I'm saying as a community, we need to just to get away from that. Because tokenism, by definition, is representation that is superficial, meaning you have a character that is just there to tick off a box, that isn't a main character, that can be killed off very easily, that doesn't have any important storylines or anything like that. That is tokenism. If you have a main character that is diverse and has representation and is a character that has a full-fledged story, that is not a token. And that is the difference in that. And it when I see that, I always have to address it because I think the word token, people don't realize that it doesn't mean just someone being diverse in a role. It's a very specific thing. It is somebody there just to tick off a box. So if you see a character that has speaking lines, that has a story, that is part of the recurring cast, they are not tokens. I'm sorry, that's not what it is. So yeah, we need to be more vigilant about actually holding everything to one standard. So something I've noticed when watching a lot of these anti-fan hate channels, a lot of the content they make, they're like, oh, we're trying to protect like families and kids and things like that. But then they make this content, this obviously adult-oriented like hate content, and then market it on YouTube for all ages. So they're like, oh, this flag in this movie seems to be like it's some sort of agenda or message, right? That's their claim. So instead of trying to keep that out of the eyes of the kids that they say are being, you know, captivated by this, they put it on YouTube 20, 30 times over and over and over again and advertise it for all ages. Meaning that if a kid gets online to search the trailer, they're gonna see probably one or more of these videos in their search. And then they're gonna click on it and see some of the worst comments imaginable, and probably some really bad language. Stop pretending it's about protecting people. Cisgender and straight are not the same thing. Straight means heterosexual. Cisgender would mean identifying with the gender that you were assigned with at birth. I'm wondering, did people even go to school at this point? I'm starting to wonder if people even went to school. No disrespect intended, but honestly, an example, you say you're a man, I am a man, okay? We are both men, we are also both cisgender. However, you are straight or heterosexual, and I am gay, AKA homosexual. All of those things are different things. Cisgender, homosexual, man. 3 different things. I want to point out the trans community didn't ask for all of this, right? That's the thing people have to realize. These advertising campaigns that have been done, it wasn't like they pulled in the trans community and they're like, hey, we just want to clear it with you guys. We're going to do a campaign with Dylan on TikTok, a 40-second clip, and we're going to put a trans flag in Spider-Man and the Spider-Verse. So trans people just know we need your clearance on this. And then they did it. These are things that were done in a way that it was like supporting the trans community or marketing with the trans community. And then all of these people that don't like trans people decided we're not going to take it out on just the companies or the creators of this. We're going to take it out on every trans person in the world. And none of those people asked for that. This is a long-ass comment from Matt, but I just want to address one part of it here. One of the things I'm seeing that's very common with a lot of these comments is people trying to dismiss actual counts of SA and CP. Like I said, I can provide for almost every day for this entire year articles where someone who is involved with a church, a school, or somebody who is close to a family member who is heterosexual, who has done things like SA when it comes to children. I can do that because it's actually happening. It's really happening. You know what's not happening? Is all of the stuff you are claiming that the gay community is doing. And you know how I know it's not happening? Because there is no articles or convictions or arrests or anything. When I ask for receipts, you guys can never provide them. If gay and trans people were such a threat, you would see article after article after article of confirmed arrests, convictions, and trials for these people. But it is not happening. And you keep saying it. It's bigotry and propaganda. Why is there no straight pride? I hear this often, and the truth is the answer is quite simple. Where in our world is it illegal to be straight? The answer to that is nowhere. There's nowhere in the world where you could travel to and be persecuted for simply being straight. Now, how many countries is it illegal to be gay? Well, at least 64 countries have laws that make it illegal to be homosexual, and at least 11 of those you can be put to death. Trans people face being illegal in at least 37 countries in the world. Pride exists to show other parts of the world that expression and identity are important, valid, and appreciated. And if not, we have the freedom of speech and expression to speak out against these laws. Gay pride isn't just about being visible for straight people. It never has been. It's about sending a message to queer people all over the world that we will not be silenced. So next time you ask, why isn't there straight pride? The question you should actually be asking is, why does gay pride need to exist at all? In a perfect world, we wouldn't need to signal boost. So be a part of the change and not a part of the problem. Happy Pride Month.
The paradox of tolerance. If you're familiar with that, that's generally how I see gatekeeping as well. As in, like, the paradox of tolerance, it means you can't be tolerant of literally all ideas, because some ideas are inherently intolerant and they will lead to, a atmosphere of intolerance. And we're seeing a lot of that play out right now in, like, political, discourse, where like, oh, we just got to hear these people out. And it's like, well, no, actually we don't, because all of their, you know, what they're saying is advocating for is the genocide of fucking trans people. And you know, it may be tolerant to hear them out, but like the ultimate end result is necessarily an intolerant and hateful one.
Say for example, it's two people sitting in the room. I'm one of them, and the other person opposite of me says that they think all gay people should be killed. Am I supposed to tolerate that and be like, oh, well, I'm gay, but I guess
he's just got a different opinion.
Yeah, so give me your thoughts on this.
I guess I'm okay with you, like, you know, unaliving me because you believe that. So I'm just going to shut up and be tolerant. That's a stupid argument. It's dumb as fuck.
You just need to agree to disagree with them.
Right, exactly.
Generally out of shape, fat weirdos who are, look.
And we start out with thought-terminating cliches. That's where we are. Someone's physical appearance has absolutely nothing to do with their criticism about the content you make. Speaking of criticism, there's a reason why he uses that word haters, detractors, weirdos, because he doesn't want to value any criticism towards him. So immediately, if you have criticism about Eric July, you're a hater. Huge red flag. Run far away from that. Let's talk about Spider-Man, the ultimate Spider-Man, Miles Morales Spider-Man, because Miles Morales is Spider-Man. You don't have to like him, but you know, and you know this, you constantly use the wrong terms to describe what Miles Morales is. You already know this. Also, who determines when someone is a true fan? What if people started reading Spider-Man with Miles Morales? Does that make them any less of a comic book fan? What's the metric? I've been reading comics longer than you. Does that make me a bigger fan than you? Things are always going to be woke at some point or another, according to their criteria, because anytime progress is made, it's quote unquote woke, and progress always happens.
It's in the word progressive.
Always. Like if you go back to the 80s and look at movies in the 80s that were considered cutting edge back then, by today's definition, they would consider that to be woke.
Right.
It's a dumb thing to argue about. No, it's just weird to be like every time I hear these people talking about this kind of stuff, I'm like, if you go back to the 90s, you can pick out 100 90s movies. Like The Matrix would be considered woke back then by today's standards.
Mrs. Doubtfire. I mean?
Yeah.
Trans.
Tu Wong Fu.
Yep.
Would be considered woke. There's so many things that would be considered woke. Probably the biggest frustration for me in all of this is this alt community taking something positive like the word woke and turning it into something that we constantly have to fight about. It's such a dumb fucking battle, because being woke is actually extremely good for the world.
And I mean, some people have been convinced otherwise.
we've said this quite a few times before. It's not like movies that are progressive are all good. They do get heavy-handed with their messaging sometimes. But when you say it about everything, it just ruins it. It's the exception, not the rule.
It's like crying wolf. Like at a certain point, you've said it so much. When do I believe you?
Right.
When do I believe that you're being honest? Woke is the same as progress. We're not going to even. We're not even going to entertain that. There's a comment that says that it's not the same as progress. It absolutely is.
Oh yeah, it sure is.
Being a woke moralist. That's all.
He's doing the deep in the sauce perspective, huh? You're so deep into that rabbit hole, you're now like, actually the left are the fascists and the racists.
So if woke is not progressive, then it's conservative? I'm trying to figure out the angle with that. Which one is it? Is it centrist? Which one is it?
You're taking that logic too far. You can't do that, DJ.
Please explain to me. I'm very curious.
It's Tory. It's not even
woke is such a conservative thing that they're anti themselves at this point.
It's good to know. Yeah, no, you figured it out.
Dumb fuck. I'm so tired of these fucking idiots. I'm sorry. I can't bite my tongue anymore. I'm tired of fucking idiots. I'm tired of them. Stop listening to these channels that are making you more stupid. Turn them off. Do Google. For God's sake, download ChatGPT. It's going to give you better answers than all of these fucking awful channels that make money off of keeping you stupid. These people following these fucking channels, it's making our world so fucking stupid. Yeah. It's like it takes the fun out of the fandom, because you guys don't watch things to enjoy them. You watch them to destroy them. It's two completely different things. You go into these movies and TV shows with the sole purpose of finding things you don't like, instead of just going into it and enjoying what it is. There's a lot of things, as someone who has watched a lot of gay content over the years, there's a lot of things that I have watched in the gay spectrum where I've been like, that's too much. it doesn't work.
Right.
But I can't even have that nuanced conversation because the folks that don't like it just don't like it across the board. Yeah. So I can't even sit down with somebody and go, hey, let's talk about this gay film that you seem to have some issues with and find out where we connect at, because we can't even engage in that kind of dialogue. We can't even have that conversation. Woke in the most simple terms is seeing inequality, being aware of it, and actively trying to make a difference in it. That's all. It's literally all it is. I'm sorry, kind of went off on a tangent there. Hey everyone, Charles Chucky here again, CEO of Burgerverse Anti-Woke Meat. And I have to say, every day I'm happy that I live in the beautiful state of Florida. No more pride parades or anything like that happening. I mean, I've never been to one, actually. Never seen one in public, ever. So I guess it doesn't affect me at all. Well, it never affected me, really. So I'm not sure why I care if they have them or not. Anyway, fuck diversity. Buy Burgerverse burgers. They're anti-woke.